Hello everyone, it's Badger Jeff coming back to you with another video. It's been a while. If you haven't looked at my channel before, it's a very small channel, but just sharing some cards that I pick up along the way with other collectors. See in the background, we got Vince Lombardi and Ray Nitschke and a Packers helmet. I'm largely a Packers collector, but I do enjoy collecting football, basketball, and baseball cards. As I was working my way through the Packers 1952 Bowman set, I really started to fall in love with these cards, and especially the Bowman Large, which are a little bit more difficult to get, especially in high grade. So I started picking up some other singles from the 52 Bowman Large set, and I think I'll chip away at the set over time. There's a few hundred cards, I think between 200 and 300. Didn't look it up. But instead of just picking up these cards, a lot of these are, I guess what you'd say, commons, but I wanted to learn about the men who these cards were of, and learn a little bit about them and report it back to you, because I found some interesting history on these gentlemen. So 1952 in the United States was right between World War II and the Korean conflict. So a lot of the people you see, except for the coaches, a lot of the young men actually had to take a break from their NFL career or just abandon it completely to go to Korea to serve for the country. So I wanted to give you some background history, have you learn a little bit, and honor these men who are in this 52 Bowman set, which I think is just a beautiful, beautiful set. So as many of you know, these are paintings of pictures that were taken, and the colors are pretty amazing. There's a mix between pro teams represented and also college teams. So the first one I'm going to go here is Mr. Ray Beck. You can see at the bottom, went to Georgia Tech. He was a guard, offensive guard, All-American from Georgia Tech. They won the Orange Bowl 17-14 victory over Baylor in 1951. So he played for the Giants from 55 to 57, so a fairly short career. But he did have to leave the NFL to go to the Korean War. And then when he came back, he didn't join the NFL again, like many of them did. He was born in 1931. After the Korean War, he became a president of a trucking company. Born in Cedartown, Georgia, which was about an hour northwest of Atlanta, where he seemed to have lived most of his career, and passed away in 2007. Actually passed away in Cedartown, but was born in Bowden, Georgia, which is southwest of Atlanta. So seemed like he was a well-known man in his town and a true gentleman, but he played for 3 years for the New York Giants. Second card is Billy Stone, which is a very, very cool card. You can see the helmet here, the leather helmet. This is in a 4. Played for the Chicago Bears. Billy Stone was born in 1925, so a few years before Ray Beck, in Peoria, Illinois. He was drafted by the Chicago Bears in 1949 in the 12th round. He was drafted by the Chicago Cardinals in the 12th round, the 1949 NFL draft, and then later played for the Baltimore Colts. But when that original Colts franchise folded, he was picked up by the Bears in the 1951 supplemental draft. So he ended up being a first rounder in the second draft of his career. He was a halfback and defensive back. Played college ball at Bradley University, which is also in Peoria, Illinois. And he really became a legend in that community and became the coach back in the 60s of Bradley University. And Bradley University likes to say that they have been undefeated in football since 1970, largely because that's when the football program was disbanded. So Mr. Stone here actually had to hold the press conference saying that in 1970 they would no longer have football. He coached for 16 years at Bradley University, Between 69 and 70, they only had one win, so they did end up closing the program. But then he went on to be in the alumni kind of backers club and also worked in administration for the athletic department. He passed away in Peoria, Illinois in 2004 at the age of 78. So, true Bradley University local hero. The third card is Bob Cross, or Bobby Cross. He was another lineman. He was a tackle. Born in Texas, in Kilgore, Texas, which, if you're familiar with there, that's a little bit it's east of Dallas, east of Tyler, which is where Earl Campbell was born and raised. He went to Stephen F. Austin University, which is out in East Texas, in Nacogdoches. Played for quite a few teams in his career. He was drafted in 1952, so this would be, like his true rookie card in the 9th round. Pick number 104, so you say, wow, that's a lot of 9th round, but only pick number 104. Not a lot of teams back then. Drafted by the Bears, played in the CFL for a while for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Bounced around from the Rams, 49ers, Chicago Cardinals, Dallas Cowboys, and then finally ended his career in 1960. So he played for about 8 years and was in the Boston Patriots AFL first team. So he's in the inaugural team for the Boston Patriots. And he passed away in 1989, the age of 57, in East Texas. The fourth card is Maury Knipp. So Maurice Knipp, he is also a guard, born in Yankton, South Dakota in 1930. And he's actually, Maurice Knipp is still alive. I know that sounds a little odd to say, but he's one of the oldest living NFL players. He's 89 years old. He served as the president of the NFL Alumni Association. And he played college ball at Loyola Marymount University. And that's about all I know about him. I couldn't find anything else. So I started looking a little deeper and said, well, Yankton, South Dakota, where's that? It's on the Missouri River, population of 22,000. But as I looked at it closer, it got kind of interesting because Lyle Alzado went to Yankton College, which is a liberal arts college. It's NAIA, so they play small schools. And even though Lyle Alzado was born out east in Brooklyn, he somehow got to Yankton College and started playing football and was noticed by a Denver Broncos scout when his car broke down in Yankton, South Dakota. Yankton also is where Tom Brokaw, the news broadcaster, graduated from high school, I think in the late 50s, early 60s. Adam Vinatieri, who was born in 1972 and still kicking in the NFL, was born in that town. And Lawrence Welk, who, if you have any grandparents that watched TV in the 70s or 80s, he was the big band leader, and he spent some time living in Yankton, working at a radio station. So he's a member of the college football Loyola Marymount College Hall of Fame team. He played just a couple of years for the Eagles. He played from 52 to 53, and then again 1 year in 56. So I'm assuming he probably left to go into the Korean conflict. So if you see Maurice anywhere, Maury, tell him we say hi. Fifth card is Dick Todd, and Dick Todd is a bit more famous. He was born a little earlier in 1914. See, this is a coaching card. Another Texas player again. He played fullback, defensive back, and punt returner for Texas A&M back in the 30s. He was a fifth-round pick of the Redskins in 1939. Played for them for 3 years, from 39 to 42. And then again from 45 to 48. So I think he was in World War II, which is amazing that they were able to come back and play again. He's a bit of a local legend in his hometown of Crowell, Texas. This is his coaching card, and he only coached for 1 year. So after he coached in 1951, So it was right after he finished being a player. He was an interim coach. And then that was the only year he coached in the NFL. He went on to coach at Midwestern State, which I'm assuming was a college back then. He has his high school stadium named after him, and was a bit of a legend in the 1920s as a all-around great athlete in high school sports. Mr. Todd passed away in 1999 at the age of 85. The last card is Buddy Young, and Buddy Young is the most famous of the group, and I hadn't heard of him, surprisingly enough. So Buddy Young was born in 1926. He was 5'4", 175 pounds, so he was like the Dave Meggett or the kind of the scat back before his day. He was one of the shortest guys to ever play in the NFL by that point. Went to University of Illinois and was like a national college champion in the 100-yard dash, 200-yard dash, and actually had a world record for the 45-yard dash and the 60-yard dash back in the, back in the 40s. So he was drafted, well, I guess he wasn't even drafted. He just played for the New York Yankees back in 47 and 49. So this is the Yankees, the football team, with the AAFC, so the American Football Conference. He then played 50 to 51 for the Yanks, which is basically the same team. And then for 1 year in 1952, he played for the Texans. So that's the card you see here. And then went on to play for the Colts, which is where he's most known to have played from 53 to 55. And he has his number 22 retired by the Colts. It's actually the first number they ever retired after he retired from football. He was in the 54 Pro Bowl team, and unfortunately he passed away in 1983, only at the age of 56 in a car crash. But he was at the time was director of player relations for the NFL. So he was one of the early greats in football, and I hadn't learned about him. So it's interesting to see the history of these guys, and it just means a lot more as you look through your cards to learn a little bit more about them, especially 1952. It's a bit of a time capsule for me, and I'm enjoying looking at them, and I hope you enjoyed the story. All right, talk to you later.